Number 24 is multi-step. I will try not to take too much time. You stick with me till the end though. A student creates a chart classifying his books by subject and cover. Are the events math textbook or paperback textbook mutually exclusive or inclusive? I want you to focus in on this word or, because we're going to need that in a minute. But what we want to know right now is it mutually exclusive or inclusive? Remember, when you're thinking about inclusive, the word that helps me to remember this is overlapping. Are these two categories overlapping? Do we have any math textbooks that are also paperbacks? And the answer is yes, right here. There's 3 of those like that, okay? So we can say this is inclusive because there are textbooks that are both math and paperback, okay? So both math and paperback. So that's the explanation for how we know that it's inclusive. Now, it says find the probability that 4 books selected randomly with replacement are math or paperback. Well, listen people, let's just focus first on finding the probability that 1 book selected randomly is going to be math or paperback. Now, I will direct you back to lesson 60 to this formula, but when you have an OR situation, it's on page 427, so the probability of A or B, that formula looks like this. The probability of A or B is probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A and B, okay? And the probability, when there's an and, that means multiplication, right? Okay, and so our A situation, let's just call our A situation the math textbooks, okay? We'll call this the math textbooks, and then we'll call this the paperback, okay? So let's just find the probability of selecting a math textbook, all right? Out of all of the books, and I've added these together, so you're going to have to take my word for them, there are 74, okay? And you see that there are 10 math textbooks. So the probability of the math textbooks is equal to 10 out of 74, okay? So the next thing we need to look at is the probability of paperback, okay? So the probability of paperback, if you add all of these together, all of these numbers together, you should get 37, because there's 37 paperbacks. Still a total of 74, so that's our total, right? Total number of textbooks. Here's our favorable situation, which is 37. So 10 74ths plus 37 74ths. Now we have a minus situation. What is the probability of A and B? Okay, well, how are we going to figure that one out? Well, that is going to equal 3. Okay, do you see, if we want it to be a math textbook and a paperback, that's going to be 3. So minus, so it's the probability of A and B. And in this case, we didn't have to do any multiplying because we knew we didn't have to do any work. We were just given this information. Probability of A and B is 3 out of 74. Okay, now when you do all of that math, you should see that you end up with 44 out of 74. So 44 over 74, and I know that can be reduced, but I'm not going to do that right this second. Okay, now here's where the 4 books, okay, this is where we end up getting a chance to do some multiplying, okay, because we want this to be 4 consecutive events. Okay, so the first time this happens, the probability is 44 over 74, right? Okay, that's for the first book. Now, what's the probability of it happening again? Because it is, the books are being replaced, okay? So that would be 44 over 74 again, okay? The third time, the third book, 44 over 74, okay? And then the fourth time, 44 over 74. Now, obviously, this would be a completely different scenario if it would be without replacement. But in this case, when you do all this multiplying, you should end up with 0.125, okay? So the chances of getting 4 books that are math or paperback, 1/8.